All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pursuit of Relentless podcast. You've got your host, Alaina. And today I have one of my fellow Arate women in business. And I'm really excited to interview her. We've had a quick conversation in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, and she's just been on like the road and just doing so many things. So I'm so blessed to have you here today, Dawn. I'm excited for everyone to hear your story.
Well, thank you. I'm blessed to be here. So just thank you all, and let's rip into this and see if we've got some stuff for some people.
Yeah, I know we will for sure, because I've already been like, boom, aha moments right there, like in the intro. So I love it. So yeah, this is Dawn Thompson here, and she has been in the spa and salon industry for 29 years. I'm going to let her tell you guys a little bit about her journey and her story, how she started as an entrepreneur and that kind of stuff. So the floor is yours, Dawn. Thanks for telling your story.
All right. Well, 29 years ago, let me back up. It was like 30 years ago. I'm dating my age. I ended up quitting school. My mom was married to an alcoholic, and she took him back, and I said, I'm out. And I knew that was going to require me to work several jobs. And so I ended up getting 3 jobs and sold Avon on the side. So I say 4, but I don't know if Avon really counted, but because I spent more than I probably sold. So I started that, and I went and got my GED, and I said, I want to be somebody. I want to have something in my life. And I had to ask myself some questions. It was like, well, what are you going to do as a high school dropout, even though you had a GED? And I had a lot of shame and guilt that I had to work through that. Mm-hmm. But now I'm like, oh, okay, that's part of the story, and I get it. But back then I was like, oh gosh. And I just knew that I love to serve people. I love helping people and making people feel pretty. So I got into I went to school to be a nail tech. And my mom told me, she's like, you'll never make it doing that. And I don't know. I just pushed forward. My friends are like, oh, I think you're crazy. How are you going to make a living polishing somebody's nails? But I did it for about 6 years. I actually started in a 15 by 15 room.
Wow.
And then I just grew from there, went to get my massage license. I talked a lady into that was selling a salon. It was in an old house, had a wraparound porch. It was so awesome. She was going to sell it. And I talked her into owner financing it for me. And I opened up a spa. And then I grew to a 3-story spa. And about that time into the 3-story spa, I was renting this particular building, and then the one that I had bought, I leased to another hairdresser. So I was making income there, and I was only in my early 20s. But I knew I wanted to give back. I was donating to everybody. I was like, oh, here's a massage gift certificate. Here's a haircut. And my friend said, gosh, you're going to donate yourself out of business. She said, let's focus more on who you want to help. And she was in the marketing field. And I said, I want to help kids. So I started this program called Operation Spa Kids Adopt a Box. And how it started out is, and we were about 9 years into business when I started this. It's where we would close down the spa and we would do free haircuts for children who had been abused or neglected.
Wow.
And at that point, if anybody's ever heard of Jack Canfield, author for Chicken Soup for the Soul, who was on the movie The Secret, I had watched The Secret and I was like, oh man, I want one of those coaches. I want more of that. Mm-hmm. And I took a credit card. It was called my self-improvement credit card. And I got Jack Canfield's people as a coach. Life coaches weren't really well known back then. Yeah. You got to realize this was 20 something years ago.
Yeah.
And so my coach said, I love what you do for foster kids, but what do you do for homeless kids? And I said, well, we don't really have that in North Texas. She said, do your homework and I'll visit with you next Monday. And I thought, homework. Okay. What does that look like? So I just went to the homeless shelter and I left there just in tears because they opened up a lady's dorm. She had 3 kids and everything that they owned fit in a box, just a cardboard box. And the kids were at school and she was trying to go to school so she could be a teacher. That was her dream. And so the homeless shelter was getting her into classes. And I thought, I've got to do something. I got to do more help than just haircuts. So my coach and I put together a program, and it was called Operation. It was the Operation Small Kids was the haircutting, and because I had a 501c3, so we ran two different things under one 501c3. So we had the haircutting, and then we did Adopt a Box, and Adopt a Box was a shoe box, and it had personal hygiene items in it for kids.
Cool.
And we put them in the schools. And so when the teacher would see a need, she would discreetly get a child a box, and then we would just refill it. We put 5 in every school in Wichita Falls and surrounding counties.
Wow.
And with that, the next time we did our haircuts, we opened it up to the first part of the day was our abused and neglected children that we had always done. And the second part of the day, we started doing homeless and low income. And we started getting 200 kids in one day coming through this place. And then I started where we would bring in different things. Like we would bring in Miss America, Mrs. Texas and Mrs. Oklahoma, because we sat right at the border. And they came in and they would crown every little girl in their ball gowns, if you can imagine. And then we had a professional hockey team come in. So every year we would switch something up that these kids normally wouldn't get to experience. And from that, because I definitely believe the secret of living is giving. I'm just going to say that, and we'll touch more on that. But we grew to 21 counties with this program in North Texas, which is thousands of schools.
Yeah.
And we put on a big event. If you remember Duck Dynasty, we've had them at one of our events. So we just put on this big event to raise money so we could further and go further with that. And with all that said, in the meantime, I end up opening up. I was flipping houses as well. I've got lots of energy, as you can well tell. I'd had 2 kids by that time, and I was flipping houses, and I bought this property. And I kept telling he's my ex-husband now, but I'm like, this property is going to be worth some money one day. And he's like, okay. And I bought this property, and a week later, the land for me right next door went up for 1.1 million. And back then that was a lot of money. That was 15 years ago. And that's where I end up moving my spas. You heard me say I started in a 15 by 15 room, went to a 1,200 square foot, went to a 3-story, 3,500 square foot. And I presently now sit in I have 3 buildings. It's kind of like a horseshoe. So I have my own compound, and it's 4,300 square feet. So I say all that to say, I've kind of started from nothing and just rose. But I think people ask me a lot of times, what do you feel your success is? How do you think you've been in business 29 years? Without having business courses, which I think could have been vitally helpful for me. So if you are listening, business courses can be amazing. Your education is amazing. But I really feel the reason I'm still in business is because of my nonprofit work.
I agree.
I think that's it.
That when you do something good for other people, the rule of reciprocity will apply. Right? Give
no doubt.
Receive.
There is no doubt. There's just, yeah. So it has been, it's been a ride. Not going to lie. There's been ups and downs. As you heard me say when we were talking before we started, I've seen a lot of good, and I've seen some that is not so great. But the thing, when I look back about the not so great, I'm like, man, when I was in that valley, I mean, that was where the growth was at.
Right.
Yeah,
it was my entire year. Like, I'm like sitting here, like trying not to cry while you're talking about this, because I'm like, oh wow, like I can't fathom what we're going to be able to do for people when we have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend, And I'm just sitting here going, this is gonna be awesome. I'm like, yes, because think of how many lives we can change. I think about my husband's upbringing, and it wasn't ideal, right? Like it wasn't bad, but it wasn't ideal. And I think about that, and I'm like, wow, how many people could we together impact, right? Because I was raised very differently. I was raised in a church with my mom and my sisters and my brother, and it was just very militant, we'll say, but very loving. as well. We were really playful and adventurous and creative, and it was awesome. We didn't have to worry about health and safety. And my mom was a nurse's aide, right? So it was like we were well taken care of. We went to the doctor, we went to the dentist, like I didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. But then I look at the people who I associate with, and I'm just like, wow, that was not the way that they were raised. And so I look at what you're doing, and I'm like, imagine if those kids can just like go and feel beautiful, or like go and like feel clean, or they don't have to be the smelly kid in class this week, and I'm just like, wow, thank you.
It is, I will tell you, it's been amazing, because after we did that, the big fundraiser that I was telling you that we did every year, we raised enough money that I went back. I was like, oh my gosh, I went to one of the schools and I said, I have money. What do you need? And she pulled out a little boy. He was probably about 7, and he was wearing adult clothes. And she explained to me that he had a sister that was wearing adult clothes too. And the poor little thing just looked at me. He had no idea why he was parading in front of me, if you will, standing there. He just was kind of like, hi. And she said his mom's working at a sandwich shop, and they're living in a ran down motel. And there's also an infant that's in daycare. And I said, you get me their sizes, and by the end of today at school, I will have them a whole wardrobe. And that started our clothing. So now at this point, we're doing haircuts, we're doing hygiene, and we're doing clothes. And working with the schools, when I would work with them, I'm like, what else do you need? And I will never forget this, ever. We've done so many since then, but this one time, it was my first time, it stands out. I had a junior high call me, and they said, we have a mom that has left New York area, and she is running from abuse. She has 3 kids in her minivan and a little dog, and they're living in it. I don't know what to do. Can you help me? Took us a week. And even though Facebook's old compared to some of my kids, they're like, Mom, Facebook is for old people. I'm like, it serves its purpose well.
It's so great.
Yeah, I put a message out there and said, guys, I have a mom in need, and we were able to get her house. It was, and what's crazy is I just I did a podcast the other day for somebody, and I told her, I said, I realized today that it has been, I think it was 7 years ago to that date last week, that because it came up on my time hop, that this mom was in a house. She had a Thanksgiving meal, and she sent me a picture of her kids, because somebody donated a tree. They donated, when I put it on Facebook, I had people donating furniture, Thanksgiving meal, and the mom sent me the picture, and it was of her 3 kids standing around a Christmas tree, decorating it, and they were warm and they were safe. And I thought, oh my gosh. And so we've done many of those families that are on the streets, and we've done it mostly through just a Facebook post, or we have silent angels that just will come in and help us get it done.
Wow.
But I say all that not to go, oh my gosh, look at the greatness we're doing. But how can it inspire other people when they hear it, because their minds start clicking of what's possible for them?
Yeah. I told you this before the show, but I said, this is for me. It's for me.
Yeah.
Because I look at that and I'm like, wow, there's so much impact we can have if we just think about other people.
Yeah.
Right? If we think about what impact we can have, what we're doing to inspire people, and imagine the ripple effect of that. Like, hey, this person gave to me. So now they're like, wow, I've got so much. They're feeling that abundance. They're like, I am so blessed. And then they're going to go out and bless other people.
Right.
Which is,
amazing. As you're saying, yeah, it is amazing. As you're sitting here talking, because I told you, I think it's for me too. And people are always really interested in the businesses that I've started, but they're really interested in the nonprofit. Yeah. Because I say the secret of living is giving. So you just gave me a gift today, because I'm sitting here thinking my brain never shuts off with ideas. And I'm like, gosh, I could have some type of business to where I could help people with it's my jam. I mean, it is my jam. I love if I see someone, I keep gloves in my car, and I love I love that. Anyways, I don't know. I'm getting off here,
Yeah.
but
So
I just think there's so much greatness and opportunity all around us.
yeah, last Christmas, what I did was I went to my friend Carly and I interviewed her on the podcast as well, Carly Johnson. And she donated coffee. So she owns a coffee company. And so she roasted this special coffee for us and like prepared it. And I went around to the homeless shelter and like the people who are out on the streets. And where I live, it's very, 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 very cold. So I was like, have some coffee. Do you need some food? Like, what do you need? There was one guy that I picked up and I'll never forget it because he was literally almost frozen solid. Like he couldn't speak when he got in my car. And I was like, I'm going to take you where you need to go. You want to go to the shelter? Like, what do you need? He was like from his nose to his chin, full of ice all over his face. He was so frozen. He couldn't move. He was shaking. And I was like, I'm glad I'm here right now, being able to like have a conversation with this guy. And he's like, you're so amazing. And I was like, no, I'm just genuinely a good human. Like I just care. I care about people. And
Yeah.
I think that's what makes me stand out. That's what makes me successful in business. People send me referrals all the time. I don't even have to really try to build my business because I'm just consistently going out and volunteering my time and doing good things, right? Like yesterday, I spoke for Matt Clapwick's charity, Youth Empowering Youth. And Youth Empowering Youth is such a great concept. It literally was like 17-year-old kids running this call for 20 other kids. And I'm like, wow, what? Like, this is incredible, right? And they're just learning leadership skills and like how to get into their communities and asking good questions. And I was just like, yeah, I can take a Sunday to do that. Sure.
That's great.
Because that's
Yeah, you'll
where
have to
the
tell me more
fulfillment
about that.
comes from.
Yeah. Well, and we never know. I'm going to get super woo woo for a second. I mean, you never know if you're entertaining an angel or what you're doing when you're helping somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that gets real woo woo, but I've been told that. And I'm like, there's been times I don't want to go deep into it, but have you ever helped someone and then you turn around and they're like, I'm not saying they're not there. They could have easily walked off or something, but I'm like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll just skim over that a little bit, but
it's cool though, because so I have a saying that I use quite often is you never know the power of one conversation. Because you could have a conversation and it may be for that person or it may be for you or it could be for both of you. And you're just like, oh, so I met this girl in Nashville and I was supposed to be there with my husband. He wasn't able to make it. And I was just like, hey, no problem. I'm going to go. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to go explore a little bit. And I met this girl and she works for Bono and was just like, yeah, I'm just on tour right now. And I was like, dude, this is incredible. And she's like, you were put in my life today for a reason. And she like came back and hung out with me and had coffee for an hour. And it was just like so incredible to like grow my network with this person. And I was like, wow. So I sent her Ed Milet's book, The Power of One More. Yeah. And I sent her my book. And I'm like, we need to keep in contact because I believe that you were put into my path for a reason. And who knows if I'm ever going to see her again, but you just have those experiences that you're just like, what just happened there?
I know, right? Isn't that awesome?
I think that's what happened with us too. Like we met at the Arte event and we'd never met before. And I'm just like, oh, I'm drawn to your energy. I can tell.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I work and likewise, and I've had to work diligently on myself. I've always been pretty nice, but, as you heard me say earlier, and it's probably a great segment into that. If you want me to speak on rock bottom for me.
Yeah, please do.
Is, I always, I used to be 300 pounds and I never really felt good enough. And as you heard me say earlier, I was married and had 2 kids and oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going here, but I feel led. Is that all right?
Yeah, do it.
All right. We're fixing to get raw. We're fixing to get real raw. I just started sharing this story with people. So, I had, So I had gotten a divorce and I was partying really hard and I ended up meeting this guy and he was a little bit younger than me, really good looking. And I ended up getting pregnant. And my doctor had told me after my second kid, I should never have any more kids because I had some issues. And at this point, when when I had gotten pregnant, I was already seeing the doctor because I was drinking alcohol quite a bit and drinking coffee all day and alcohol all night. I was partying, like I said, not feeling good enough. And the doctor said, you can't have this baby. We're going to need to abort this baby. And I said, oh man, that's not my thing. I love kids. I have a nonprofit for kids. I have a spa and salon. What will my community think? Because I was really well thought of in my community.
Yeah.
And so, oh man, after seeing 4 specialists, I end up letting them take this baby. And man, it was a dark, dark time. I had a lot of shame.
Pregnancy losses in the last year. So
yeah. So I had all this guilt and shame and, all these things. And for me, I just said, okay. I said, God, if you are who you say you are, like, I need your help. And that I felt like I had soul surgery, and it was so helpful for me. And I started looking more towards, like, is there something else? And I'll just say this, the night of that abortion, when I came to, the TV was on, and Tony Robbins was on Oprah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it had nothing to do with abortion, but the things he was saying was very helpful to me. And I already knew who he was. And so I, later on, I don't know, it was hours later, I moved to my bedroom and that TV was on. When I turned it on, it was friggin' Tony Robbins and Oprah. It was a repeat.
No way.
And I was like, yeah, I said, okay.
You're supposed to watch that.
Yep. And I ended up going and searching and got a ticket, and I went to go in person because I thought, dang, if he's this good, like on TV for 45 minutes, how good is he going to be in person? So I went, and then I ended up crewing for him, which means working events. And I just felt God say I had a message in me. And I was like, okay, well, why do you feel, and for me, that everything happened the way it did? And I said, because I didn't feel good enough. So I trademarked the words "you're enough," and I started the "You're Enough" movement. And I speak predominantly to schools and women. Women is kind of my gig. I love working with women, men too, but I love the female energy. And I speak, and that's really my purpose. I love the spa and the salon. It pays my bills, and I love it, and I've done it a long time. But my God-given purpose, without a shadow of the doubt, is the "You're Enough" movement. And like I said, I've been doing it for a long time, but as we speak, I'm going to go ahead and say this out loud so you can hold me accountable. I really got this when we were in Nashville, is God saying it's time to step up.
Yeah.
Like it is some major go time for you. And that is where I'm at right now. Is as you well know, I have another business that I just started, but I know, when I'm able to do more of this full time, the lives that will be affected. And that's what I think about a lot, is exactly what you said. I think that maybe Andy said this, or Ed. Your dream has to be so big that you can put all the dreams of your people that you're leading in with you. Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at. Every day I don't show up and do the major things that I know I'm supposed to be doing, somebody else suffers. It's kind of like, you were saying, we have this knowledge and this heart for a reason. And so that's where I'm at, is to go, okay, I told you, I will call bullshit on myself. I will let you know when I'm transparent, and I've been playing smaller to keep everybody else comfortable.
Right? Isn't it interesting?
Yes.
One of those aha moments too. And it was like, this is my time to shine. And I want it to say on my gravestone that I was a vibrant human, just like,
I love that,
giving light to other people. And I'm like, yes, because I sit here and there's days, and this is woo-woo as well, but that's okay. There's days when the sun is shining on me and you can see that I'm freaking glowing. And I'm like, what is going on? Right? It freaks me out. But at the same time,
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like my energy is just vibrant and I'm radiating. And
Yeah.
that's how I want to feel all the time. But I can't do that if I don't take care of myself. I can't do
Yeah.
that if I don't develop myself personally, mentally, emotionally, right? If I don't sit in those moments that are hard and go through them and go, hey, that was a terrible experience. I never want to go through that again. But what can I learn from it? Right? What can I take away from it? What can I learn about myself and what really matters?
Right.
I think it's those moments that you're just like, okay, this is where I belong. This is my home. Right.
Yeah. Yes. And when I couldn't even, when that happened to me about the baby, I couldn't even hardly speak. I was just so distraught. And I look back now, Tony Robbins I'll just tell you this real fast. I'd had somebody call me and said, hey, will you come speak again? My crowd loves you. And I said, yeah. I said, you know what? I got to tell you the real reason I started the Year Enough movement. And when I told him, he said, oh my gosh, you have to share that with the world. And I said, I'm not ready yet. He said, what's holding you back? I said, my mom. My mom doesn't know. And it's been 10 years and I don't want to tell her because my mom had a way of setting me back some. And he said, you got to tell your mom. And I was headed out. Tony Robbins' 60th birthday was in LA and there was one case of COVID and it was close to where I was going. And we didn't know. We didn't know what was going to happen. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm going kind of where it is. Who knows? I might die. Who knows? Yeah. And so I called my mom and I said, Mom, I said, I got to tell you something. And I told her, and she was the kindest she's ever been to me. And I said to myself, if my mom accepts it, and she's kind to me, I'm going to share it with the world because when I share it, they hear my story, but they feel theirs. I think we all have a story, that we don't want read out loud or whatever it is. And just to let you know that, my message is that, you're enough, that we can get through anything. Like you just said, it helps. We've been through when we're in the valley, it sucks there, but man, when we come out of it, we look back and go, God, I learned so much about myself,
So in that moment, I want to pull this card for you. I've never done this on my show before, but so when I was in my deepest, darkest moment, I pulled this card and I'll try and find it right now. But it just gave me so much peace and clarity of what I just knew was possible for me. And it's not that one. It's here. It's here. I bet it's the very first card on the top of the deck. There it is. Okay. So when I was in that place, I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. The darkness, the like, oh, my life is over, right? Because I had this life planned and it was going to be awesome. And then it was over. And I was like, ooh, there's a low blow. And so I pulled this card. And for those of you who are on video, you'll see it's a grizzly bear. Okay. And it's a grizzly bear and it says power. And I was like, okay, what do I need to take from that? That I need to take back my power. And it says, I'm going to try not to cry. I'm really emotional today. I am indestructible. I honor my intuitions and go where it leads. Love and gentleness are my real strengths. I will never give up. I will succeed. And I'm like, oh, indestructible, baby. I'm like, yeah, I can do it.
That is freaking awesome. And you want me to tell you how I just think everything is on time. You're going to love this. Mm-hmm. So your listeners don't know this, but I recently just bought a cabin in the mountains. I just took a bet on myself. It's one of those things I want to do it for 9 years. And finally, I'm like, listen, I was there this summer renting from 20-year-olds. It's like the only difference. And I think there's a lot of 20-year-olds listening right now. The only difference between you and that 20-year-old is you better get out there and do it. And I just come home and I just set my mind to it. But what I'm getting at is it got incorporated today.
Cool.
And what, you're ready for this?
Yeah.
When they incorporated it through, you have to do it through the government. I was going to do it sets on a street called Brady Canyon. And I named it Brady Bear Canyon is the name of the corporation. And my thing is, I called my accountant back and I said, let's just name it Brady Canyon. And she goes, I really like Brady Bear Canyon because my cabin has a little bit of bear stuff. And all of a sudden, bear has just come that it just in the last like 2 months, the whole bear thing. I've never really liked bears, but bears have been all around. So it's just crazy that you pulled that card right now. But I just went with the name Brady Bear Canyon today and my incorporation through the United States. Crazy. Yeah.
I don't know.
Confirmation for me to go, I was right. I did name it right.
I have had such a strong connection to bears since I got my dog. And she's a Rottweiler, but I call her Bear. And she just is so gentle and kind and just like curious. And I'm just like, you're just like a bear. Like, you're so lovely.
I love it.
So yeah, I don't know. When I pulled that card, it was just, like you said, confirmation. And when you have that confirmation, it's like, okay, yeah, I want to feel these emotions. I want to embrace it and just go, hey, what am I doing to take back my power? So after my second miscarriage, I literally finished Live Hard and was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Like, I'm not going to let this hold me down, because I failed phase 1 when I lost my first baby, and I failed phase 2 when I lost my second baby. And I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I don't want to be fat. I don't want to get back to 300 pounds, because I was also 300 pounds. And I put on quite a bit of weight. And I'm like, what is going on with my body? And then I was like, wait a minute. I've never had these hormones before. Right? I've never been in this place before. I've never had this version of myself before, the mother version. So I'm like, I just need to learn. I need to grow. So I just sat there and I was like, what do I need to do? And friggin' Andy comes on, like, just in my brain. And Andy Frisella is just like in my brain. Also, little plug for Andy. I'm drinking his collagen, peanut butter collagen from First Form in my coffee today, and it's delicious.
Is it really?
It's really good. Yeah, it's really good.
Okay.
It's like half a scoop in your coffee. Lovely.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I had Andy come into my brain and just be like, just do it. Just finish it. Finish it. Finish it. Finish it. And so 5 days after my second miscarriage, I started phase 3. And my first one, it took me like 2 months to get the will to actually like do something outside of my house, right? Where I wasn't sitting on the floor crying all day. But like, when I finished that program, the self-love that I had was incredible, because I was like, wow, I'm taking my power back, right? I'm taking my power back, and I'm making that choice that I'm not going to let this defeat me. I can't. And then the more I talk about it, the more I learn, the more people talk about like losing children and stuff. And I'm just like, man, why don't we just have all of this support, this conversation, so that people don't feel like they're alone, you know? And I'm like, man, it's just crazy. So Angela Bradford was like, you have to talk about it. And so I did. And it's so freeing.
I love that. I feel, and I could be wrong, but I feel that you've got a listener right now that's probably at this point crying. They're probably in it. They're in something. What would you say to them right now?
Everything's going to be okay. We'll get through, right? It's crazy because so many people are just like unaware of how beautiful their heart is. And like when they honor who they truly are, and like what, like you're just the picture perfect person of who's doing this, right? But you're, like Ed says, you're most equipped to help the person that you used to be.
It's true, isn't it?
I'm just sitting there going, yeah. So I used to be 300 pounds. I used to be 100 grand in debt. I used to be a mom, right? Like, I can help these people because I've experienced all of this loss and frustration and trauma. And you just sit there and you go, okay, what did you do to get through it? So now I have people all the time who are like, hey, Alaina, I had a friend that just lost a baby. What did you do? How did you get through it? And I'm like, thanks.
I think that we are allowed to have certain as we were saying, valleys.
Ebbs and flows.
So
Yeah.
so we can help other people that have been through it to go, listen, you're gonna be just fine. It's
Right.
gonna be, and like you said to that listener right now, no matter what you're going through, there's gonna be something amazing come from it. You can't see it right now, but it's on its way. And it's coming to me right now of the mindset, of what we speak over our life, is going to be our life, and speaking that greatness, and knowing, as we were talking earlier, I do a lot of stuff with Bob Proctor's business. He passed not too long ago, but it's all at Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you know some of his work.
I love Joe.
I do too. And so it's just, I feel like I'm supposed to say, really watch what you're saying about yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
Because what you speak will be your life. And if you don't want shit to happen tomorrow, I'm not saying that it can't happen, but don't speak it into that existence of going, hey, listen, I know I used to run around and say, oh my God, I'm so fat. And I would make fun of myself so others wouldn't make fun of me, just kind of self-preservation, and wondered why I was staying overweight. And, now, I teach a lot of mirror time. I don't know how we're evolving into this part of it, but you stop me if I'm going to way off but I teach mirror time a lot. And what are you saying to yourself when you look in the mirror? I used to look and go, God, I hate my fat thighs. And I'm like, you make me sick. Like I hate everything about you, like you. And then I just went rabbit holing. I mean, it would turn into something. Yeah. And now I'm like, when I rub in my lotion, I'm like, I love my thighs. I was like, you've allowed me to have so many amazing experiences. And and even though sometimes I don't really think it, like I might look and go, okay, let's the BS. I might not love them, but I tell them I love them.
Yes.
And before I know it, and I feel this is what I've learned. Let's say you want to lose weight, or I don't like lose weight, rid weight. Losing means we'll find it again. Let's rid of it. Let's say we want to rid some weight. I don't know that it's real easy to take care of things that you hate. And in my experience, I've been doing this for 12 years, and I've traveled across the United States with speaking and different things. I've been out on tour. I have ran into 2 people in my speaking career when I say, it takes me about half of the time to get them to where they trust me, and we're on a roll. And I say, by raise of hands, how many of you really love yourself? I've had 2 people. And I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
And the 2 people that raised their hands, I don't even know if they knew what the question I was really asking before they just raised their hands. So I don't even know if they really count. One, I think, was just embarrassed and she wasn't paying attention and raised her hand. And my message is, we got to stop that. We got to know that we are good enough, because I just think it's hard to look after ourselves if we don't like ourselves. And it's a process.
Yes, it's a process. So I've been doing like super weird little things for myself, because when I look in the mirror, it says, who do I aspire to be? That's what it says on my mirror. Who do I aspire to be? So I look at that and I go, someone who loves their body, someone who appreciates the fact that they have a voice and eyes that work, and hands and legs and feet. And, I just sit there and I appreciate myself. And I'm like, okay. So before I didn't, but now I look at it and I go, I can trust my body. My body knows what it's doing. It's taking care of me. I just had a bunch of blood work done and they're like, you're super healthy. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, that's great. And I was nervous, right? I was nervous because I do eat not the greatest food sometimes. But it's like, are you compounding better or are you compounding worse? Right? So if you continue to just compound better and understand that you're going to have little blips through the day that are bad, right? Like, oh, I didn't like that, or, oh, that didn't go the way that I planned. But it's how you react to the situation that matters. And when you can find that gratitude, oh man, I hope that you take this away from this conversation is that all you have to do is find love for yourself. You have to
Yeah.
love yourself. You have to take time every single day to love yourself, whatever that
I-
is. If that's
Mhm.
sleeping in, sleep in. You know, if that's going to yoga, go to yoga. I did yoga therapy today. It was awesome. Right. And then I'm going to hang out with my husband and go out for dinner and like have a good date night and stuff like that. But if you don't take that time for yourself, you're literally just on autopilot. Right. And if you're not actively living your life, you're on autopilot. So don't allow yourself to live on autopilot every day, right? It's okay if you need some time to just chill out and relax and do your thing. But I think it's really, really important to love and care for yourself and like just do those exercises, like I talk about in my book, that are going to help you build that confidence because
Mhm.
you're the only one who can build your own confidence.
It's true. Yeah. And, it's so funny. The question, I love the question you ask yourself. I started writing down and I just leave it where I get ready. And it says, you get to decide who you want to be today. Like, who do you want to be? And I'm like, oh, God, I think if you ask good questions, you're going to get good answers. And I just think about who it is. And I'll tell you something that I love to do is I love to have Pinterest. I love Pinterest.
Me too.
I love it. I love to have just boards. And, one thing I've been doing this forever, but I'm going to just be honest. I would dream and I would have amazing boards, but I still had some borders around things. Like I didn't let myself dream real big because I'm like, oh no, 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 we can't do that. And I really started the more I hung around Ed and Andy. I'm like,
Tony. Really.
well, Tony, yeah, Tony too. That I started going, whoa, I need to dream even bigger. So my Pinterest boards recently have taken the release off because as you heard me say earlier about the people I was renting from, what's the difference between you and somebody that has what you want?
They did the work to get it.
Yeah. So I'm just reminding you, just a gentle reminder to y'all that if there's a dream that you really want, figure out how you're going to make that happen. It's kind of like me. I was telling you 4 years ago, I had come to the point where I think if you buy stuff you don't need, you'll be selling stuff that you do. And 4 years ago, I hit another valley. I was selling stuff out of my furniture. The economy kind of had gotten a little strange here. And I was raising 3 kids and I was having to sell furniture to make ends meet. And I started changing up a lot of my mindset and getting rid of money stories. Even though I was successful, I still had some old money stories. I didn't even know really what a money story was. But what is crazy is on, once again, Facebook, I happened to, my time hop came up while I was at my new cabin. And I just hit the floor because I mean, I didn't hit the floor dramatically. I just was like, oh, I'm so thankful and had so much gratitude because on my time hop 4 years ago to that date, I was selling stuff out of my house to make ends meet. And here I was sitting in a cabin in the mountains.
Right.
Because I had shifted that mindset, that I'm good enough to have that and to overcome that money story and to start dreaming bigger. And now I'm stepping up to dream bigger and bigger. What's the difference between me and somebody who has 10 mountain cabins?
Not much.
Me. Yeah. So I hope if you're listening, I know that every one of you listening right now has a dream, several dreams probably, and they're probably big and they're scary. If they're not scary, friggin' bump them up and make it get you on that scary. And you move every day to move towards that thing that you want. I don't know how you believe. For me, you and I talked about this. I believe in God. God blesses motion. You do your thing, whatever it is that you believe, and you will start to see every day. You might not know exactly how. Don't get tripped up in the tyranny of how, but just every day do something else. Make a phone call today. If you're listening to this, that dream that you have today, make a phone call. Help me think of something we could tell them to do today to get towards that goal. Maybe it's a business you want to start or a nonprofit. Make a phone call today.
Yeah.
Do something today to get you do something towards your goal. If it's weight loss, you and I, that's been like a topic for us. If it's weight loss, then today, walk around the block. Yeah. Just start. Go in your fridge. Yeah. Go in your fridge and throw out some food today. And don't get stuck in, oh my gosh, I paid a lot of money for this food or anything, because I had to do this with me. You're going to pay a lot more to get it off, sister. Yeah. By the time you join a gym and do all the things. And so, yeah, I don't know who that's for, but I'm just rolling with where I'm feeling led.
I love it. Yeah. And this week, when I was in California, my mentor was just like, hey, who could list me your top 25 goals? And I literally, not one hand went up, because you can't, a lot of people don't have clarity on what their goals are. You may know like your top 3 to 4, but do you know your top 25 goals? Right? You're just sitting there going,
yeah. Well, and yeah.
You know? It's so challenging. If you don't have clarity, you can't achieve it. Right.
Right. And so that's a great point, because somebody listening might go, gosh, I don't have goals. Well, go set them. And, you know, and set them big. Set you some big ones. Some that scared the ever living crap out of you. Go set those.
We set you some our big, hairy, audacious goals.
Yes. Set them big ones. And you'll be surprised when you meet them. And I have something that I do in my bathroom, and I have a really big bathroom, and it's my think tank, if you will. It's my spot. But I have right in front of the loo, if you will, I have a really pretty cork board. And every month I have a sheet of paper, and those goals change every month. And there's 10 over to the side that I'm going to see happen. For the end of the month, I've got 2 more that I need to make happen. So, and I'm on my way for them. So they will be completed. But I say that what's amazing is when you write them down and you get clear about them, you're going to be so surprised that you will hit them most of the time.
Yeah.
And it feels friggin' good. I know you know this. Doesn't it feel good to mark them out or to check them off? And
I got to cross off 3 things off my list after coming back from California. And that was in a 2-week span that I accomplished 3 of my goals. I was like, what just happened there? Right. But yeah. I was blessed with an opportunity and I took it.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. You know, I love the fact that you've allowed me to be here today. And I hope that somebody rises up today that hears something amazing and that it changes their life. And just thank you for all the wonderful stuff that you do to put this out information, all the people, all your guests that you have, and just doing such great things for the world.
Yeah. I'm working on it. It's called being a world shaker, right? Just not being afraid to go out and put yourself out there. Even if you're not perfect, and especially when you're not perfect, because you're on the pursuit of relentless, right? You're searching for what that best version of yourself is. And I love that. Yeah. So I would love if we'd finish off on the one thing that we were speaking about earlier, the mixture between Thanksgiving and Christmas. If you would tell us about
yeah, she's going to pull some more transparency out of me. So let's do that. So for years, the weight and clutter, I like to shop. I got rid of maybe the eating so much, but I picked up another habit, and I love to shop. I love it. I love stuff. I love to tell you it's just purses or shoes. I love all stuff. I mean stuff. Look at my books here. Look at those books.
Yeah.
Stuff. I have stuff.
I have lots of plants.
Plants is your deal. Plants. So it's taken me years. I will get rid of a lot, but then I will still keep the more expensive stuff because I had to work real hard. And here's a little the transparency. I know somebody else is out there doing this too, and that's why I'm going to say it.
A lot of people are.
I've had emotional attachment to my stuff. Mm-hmm. And the stuff had me. I didn't have my stuff. So I will get rid of it, and sometimes I'll bring it back in. But some of it is, and this is good stuff. I mean, this is stuff that people could get their hands on. I'm talking Louis Vuittons. I mean, as far as handbags, I'm talking good stuff. And that's one of the reasons I probably was selling furniture out of my house, if I'm being raw.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just never would let go of all of it. I'd let go of a lot of it. Well, last year I let go of a lot and I took it to, as you heard me say, I have those three buildings. One is a spa, one's a salon, and one is my back office, which houses a lot of our nonprofit. Um, and I did a Christmas party. I think it was in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I have 24 staff members. I let my staff come back and they got to get a box and get whatever they wanted. I had a jewelry box shell that was this big, full of jewelry.
Wow.
They loved it. They're like, this was our most favorite Christmas ever. I mean, and I've taken these people to the mountains before. They're like, this is one of our favorites. So here in about 30 minutes, I have two of my assistants coming over and I have sent them pictures of what I want my garage and my closets to look like. And they are going to come in and I'm paying them. I said, guys, I'm going to pay you more than I've ever paid you because that's how serious I am, because I know the clutter has me and I don't have it. It's not horrible, but it's not where I want to be. I want to be more of that minimalistic because it clears my energy up.
Yeah.
When I get rid of stuff, I get so creative. So I aspire to have this. I don't want y'all thinking I sit around in junk. You would look in my house right now and go, oh my gosh, it's pretty. It is. But you open my garage. Oh my gosh. Or my closet. It's clean. Yeah. So anyhow, I'm completing that today and I'm taking it to my office and it is going to be Friendsgiving and Christmas, and my staff will get the choice. And what I did last year with the stuff that was left over, I put it on Facebook. I said, hey guys that live in my community, come get the stuff. You can have whatever you want. This year, instead of doing it with Facebook, there's a women's refuge that opened up, a thrift store, and I'm going to donate everything that's left to the thrift store. And so there's so many things. And I loved what you said, because we were talking about this earlier. You said, just imagine all these people that are going to get these purses and jewelry and all the decor that they maybe didn't have it, or it's new to them, and how good it's going to make them feel.
Yeah. So you're going to make
I'm never going to miss it.
Smile.
Yeah. And I'm never going to miss it.
No.
So if you're listening, what are some things that you can let go of right here at the season? You know, I don't know when you're going to play this, but we're right here at the season to gift it and give it away.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on here today. I know so many people took so much value out of this conversation, and so did I. I took literally a page of notes as I'm like, oh, I'm just going to write that one down. That was good. So I'm excited to listen back to this, and I'm going to listen back to it right away because I think there's a ton of value that we can pull out of that conversation. So thank you so much. I want people to get more access to you, though. So where can they get a hold of you?
Well, you can go to youreenough.com if you want to find me on my website, and there's links to my social media there. So that's probably the easiest. Under Facebook, you know, if you go Dawn Thompson, there's so many. If you hit Texas, I know you can tell by my twang that I'm from Texas. So you can find me that way. But the easiest probably is to go to youreenough.com, and you can actually send me a message through that. If there's any of you listening that you're like, oh, wait, you said something and I want to know how you did that, or please reach out. I'm want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I'm honored to be here today. You're like I said, you're doing great things. And I hope you feel that today, that you were doing awesome stuff.
I do.
And thank you.
I'm grateful that I'm blessed with opportunities to meet incredible people who are just like, here, let me teach you everything I know. I'm like, thanks, I'll take it.
Right.
And it's just about embracing the opportunities, I think, and understanding that happiness comes from within, not from things. And I'm in the financial industry, so I see it all the time. And I sit there and I go, okay, how can we minimize expenses? How can we minimize where that money's going, right? Because there's so many people who are just spending to fill that void. And I feel that. I've been there. I've done that. I still, sometimes I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't probably have, reconsidered spending X amount of dollars versus this amount. And it's just a learning process. So be patient with yourself as well, but understand that you're in control, right? You are enough. And this was an incredible conversation. So again, thank you. Make sure that you share it with a friend and get access to Dawn. Um, it's been a very, very powerful day, and I'm excited to see what's next. So,
Oh, thank you. Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
Right.
thank you so much. It was great.
All
Have
right.
a wonderful day.
Pursuit of Relentless signing out. Have a good one, guys.